Hey guys, welcome to day 3 of Placemaking Week. And it's been like 2 full-on days. And I've been chasing you for a couple of days because, as I love what you do, and that's why we're here, to share ideas and inspiration, to celebrate the community on our beautiful Good Place bench. Please introduce yourself and tell us a bit where you're from, and what brought you to Placemaking Week.
Yeah. Hi, Robin. It's really hello. I'm also Robin. I'm Robin Abad Ocubillo, and I'm based in San Francisco, California. So coming to Rotterdam here from kind of a long ways away. But I think that Rotterdam and the Netherlands and California have a lot in common. I think there's an affinity between these two parts of the world, especially in terms of a kind of attitude about community and, in a way, activism. So I come from San Francisco, and I am a placemaker. We're here at Placemaking Week Europe, and enjoying the company here of all these incredible practitioners, thinkers, people who are doing things, making a difference in their communities with design, with urban planning, around development, in politics and environment. So my background is in public policy, and specifically around public space. So I'm keenly interested in the ways that public space is the venue for us to be thinking about issues of environment, thinking about solving issues of social integration, empathy, of course, transportation, mobility, and placemaking, focuses a lot on public space. So that's why I'm here. Did I answer your question?
More than that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Inspired by the statement you're making about how important public space is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people take that for granted. Maybe not in the realm of placemaking, but I think citizens alike, we all move and behave in public space, and should be more conscious about what public space is and what it offers us. What is the main outtake already from these days at the conference? What has been the highlight so far?
Oh, wow, there have been so many highlights. And this week's program has been packed full of incredible case studies from all over Europe and really all over the world. There is, I think, there's a kind of tension, which is a good tension. It's not a bad one. I think between regarding where the movement is right now in sort of its stage of development. So if we think of placemaking as there's been some healthy debate. Is it a practice? Is it a profession? Is it an array of strategies and tools that, sometimes you use a few tools in a situation, others? Who decides? How do you understand how best to show up in situations? So there's a little bit of a tension in terms of not wanting to define ourselves as a practice, not wanting to define ourselves necessarily as a profession. We don't want to limit ourselves in the scope of how we can help to transform the world. At the same time, I think when we're dealing with very real systems of economy and capitalism and development and politics, government, we have to speak in very concrete terms about what we represent, what our objectives are, how we're going to do it. The value, yeah. So for me, sometimes perhaps this discourse within our network, amongst our peers, perhaps there's some uncomfortable moments, but I think it's a healthy discomfort, and we need to keep interrogating this question. So what other there's so many more highlights, but for me,
I mean, that's a highlight. Sorry.
Yeah, so you can hear me.
That's a highlight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because I have been talking to a lot of people so far, right? And some say everybody is a placemaker.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody has a different profession.
Yeah.
But also, people are really appreciating this festival because it brings back so many different people with the notion like, hey, we should collaborate more, right? Or that feels like placemaking is that is the name of the community that embraces a lot of different people that all have the same mission, which is making cities a better place, right? So I do feel that there's a lot of excitement around it. Because as you say, you're a placemaker, but still, what is it? You know, it's like it's not that tangible. But when you start defining it or start explaining what you do, then people start to understand it.
Well, maybe I'll speak a little bit about how I approach this
Sure.
activity of placemaking. So, my background, my profession is public policy and around public space. So I'm a civil servant. I work for the municipality, and for most of my career have worked at the municipal level in government. In other times in my career, worked for a federal agency or with a federal agency around parks. But in any case,
You work for the municipality of San Francisco?
currently I work for a municipality right next to San Francisco, the City of Oakland.
Yeah.
That's a very new role for me. I was with the City of San Francisco, California, for over 10 years, working on issues of public space, and in particular, opening the bureaucracy and reformulating the bureaucracy to make it easier for communities to access and activate public space.
Right.
So in most municipalities, there's a lot of procedure, there's a lot of red tape, there are a lot of barriers. And really public space, in principle and theory, it belongs to everyone, right? So as long as you are activating it in a safe way that's open and accessible to everyone, why not? So over the years in San Francisco, I've been involved in a couple policy initiatives and then also implementing the programs associated with those policies to open public space. One of those is the Parklet program in San Francisco, which is repurposing where you used to park a car on the road and temporarily, and at this point, the temporary experiment has gone way beyond 18 months and we're going over a decade. In some cases, some parklets have been in situ for like 10 years.
Quite a trend here as well.
Yeah, are there parklets here? And yeah.
Rotterdam, The Hague, for sure.
Yeah,
Getting
okay.
rid of cars out of
Yeah,
the city.
yeah. So that shouldn't be a hard thing to do, right?
No.
It should be something that is easy for the sponsor, whether they're a cafe or perhaps they're a school or a youth center or an art gallery. And a couple times in San Francisco, I've led efforts to rewrite our laws and codes to eliminate a lot of those requirements and barriers and just rebalance that. So many other programs do, our Open Streets program, our pop-up activation program. So anyways, that's just to say that as somebody who works in the municipality, as a bureaucrat working in policy and implementation, our contribution from the government side to public space can be just open it up, make it easier, remove the barriers.
For initiatives, placemakers, for agencies.
Yeah. Anyone.
Right.
Parklets, sometimes called dining patios or terraces, depending on what part of the world you're in, have become associated with dining, private dining, food service, which is a higher and better use than parking a private vehicle for many hours. But my interest has been in the non-commercial uses of parklets.
Yeah.
So in San Francisco, we've tried very, very intentionally to involve, again, NGOs, nonprofits, art galleries, faith institutions, and other kind of sponsors who have a mission that they can deliver not only inside the walls of their institution, but out in public space. Right? They have a public interest agenda, they have a public interest mission. Why not put those activities outside and support them doing that? So,
Like a good place bench.
like the Good Place Bench. Do you ever do these interviews outside in public space?
Yeah, I mean that's what the podcast is about.
Yeah, okay.
So the podcast is only with conversation with citizens on public benches, and this is the event setting, but then with the goal to have a good place bench in real life in neighborhoods and streets, and
Yeah.
so I'm also in talks with people in the municipality here to do it as part of a parklet.
Amazing.
You know, so maybe that's a nice experiment, and then I'll get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's get some good place bench interviews in California.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
bring the project out and
No, would love to. Would love to. That would be a dream.
yeah.
What about even during the Olympics in a couple of years? You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
In LA.
In LA. Oh, that's LA. Yeah. No, but yeah, definitely would love to go Oakland and so on. You also told me about another project you're involved in, which is the LGBTQ movement, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about interviews, but that's also what you do to visualize the LGBTQ movement. How is that part of? Is that part of a policy? Is that? Yeah, tell us a bit more about that project.
Yeah. Robin, thank you for asking about that. So, last year, a group of us in the Global Placemaking Network recognized that our network is doing a lot of incredible work, working with to make communities better, to empower communities, and of course, different members of communities have different needs. They have different considerations. In some cases, as with the LGBTQ community, needs that arise from a lot of decades of structural oppression, discrimination, trauma, displacement. So we thought, okay, obviously, placemaking can serve to address these gaps. Also recognizing that as queer people, as LGBTQI people, we, and I say we because I identify as queer myself, we have always been placemakers. Queer people create neighborhoods, right? They create families of affinity. Chosen families is one way we describe our communities. And a lot of times, these beautiful, resilient neighborhoods, communities, groups of friends, social movements, they are born out of absolute necessity, out of survival, out of self-preservation. Urgency, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, certainly over the last decades in America and elsewhere, LGBTQ rights are expanding, stability, safety, but there's still a lot of work to do. And there are many parts of the world where it's still very difficult to just be your full, genuine self, and not have to worry about being discriminated against for your identity. So you can just be a full, contributing member of this global community.
Yeah.
So queer people are placemakers. We're making neighborhoods, we're making spaces, we're creating safe venues for us to be with one another and those and our allies who want to help support and amplify and uplift us. So what are the implications for this? Yes, there are implications for public policy. There are implications for human rights, for economic mobility, for housing stability, for safety in public spaces. That's a huge set of, dimensions to attack. So we thought, what's one of the, if we were to form a sort of caucus of LGBTQI individuals in the larger network and collaborate on something, what can we do? And it occurred to us that storytelling, like the work that you're doing with the Good Place Bench, humanizing, putting a face to our community, and telling stories about the way that LGBTQI people are organizing, supporting each other, advocating, making incredible art, being creative, contributing, not only to our own community, but to, societies as a whole. That is one of the most important and straightforward ways that we can attack, and start to change dynamics about how we're perceived, how we're embraced. So that's the storytelling project, LGBTQI _stories. on Instagram. If you want to see some of the profiles, we've interviewed artists, activists in Mexico City, in Athens, in Baltimore, Maryland, here in Rotterdam, and in Amsterdam. We are also interviewing local queer, mostly artists, but also in some cases activists and educators who are doing placemaking work, maybe without even knowing it.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the long answer to what we're
No, but it's a captivating story. I'm like all ears and all in because I think it's so beautiful to open up this community more and to within the placemaking community, but also outside because those stories will travel, And I think there's actually where I live in The Hague. There's a big queer project going on now with a very long cycle walking path, and of course in rainbow colors, just to where placemaking and queer community comes together. So then I'm intrigued, like, who initiated it? Is it somebody who's queer, or is it somebody who thinks we need to jump into the necessity and start put out there? Because it does feel that there's a difference between projects initiated from queer people around, addressing the queer community versus somebody who thinks that maybe it's a stunt or a marketing thing or so on, right? So there's this genuinity that's needed, I think, right? Yeah. Super nice. I haven't seen anything yet of those stories, but I'd be happy to also have a conversation with somebody from the queer community, placemaking community, on a bench.
Yeah. Let's
If
do that.
If you know anyone,
Yeah.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm such a great admirer of your project, Robin. This is incredible. There's something so immediate and just like direct and genuine about having a conversation with someone on a bench in public space. I totally understand what you're doing. It's a beautiful way to tell stories, and there's such a variety of perspectives. And so how do you look into that kaleidoscope, right, of humanity and our ideas, and when you put them all together and you turn the dial, we make something beautiful and it's always changing, but there is a coherence there that storytelling projects, I think. So I would love for our projects to collaborate somehow. Nice. Maybe we do a good place. You should do a good place at like Pride or something. A good place bench, just set up, interview folks. There are many ways I think we could do it. But,
absolutely. Thanks for that. I mean, I would love to. So count me in. Because it's also changing my perspective. It's not. It's also like a personal project. It's not just here to share with the public, but it's also something that takes me out of my bubble and get introduced to. So that's human interest. We should all be interested, and continue to be interested. What is a good place to you, Robin? And of course, the question: are you in a good place? But also, if we can dream on, what should be a good place?
I love this question, Robin. This is the question. What makes a good place?
That's the build up towards.
Yeah. What makes a good place? I think a good place is where anyone can feel comfortable and safe to be themselves. I think a good place also offers a different variety of. You can be there to socialize with a group of people, or you can also just be there to be by yourself. And there, a lot of parks, a lot of plazas start to offer these invitations. But free to be yourself, safe. We're both guys, so we have a different experience of spaces and places than most women do. We don't worry about some of the things that our female colleagues do, for example. So I think part of our purpose and our mandate as placemakers is to think about how our own privileges as an individual mean that we experience the world differently, and what responsibility we have with those privileges to help others whose identities, right, don't accord them the same kind of sense of safety or invitation. That's a sidebar, but a good place, I think, is thoughtful and accommodates all those things. A good place is just where you can, for me, it's where you can just people watch. My favorite thing to do is to sit on the sidewalk at a cafe or a bar with a coffee or a cocktail and a book, and to just watch people go. I could do that for hours. Literally, by myself. I don't need to be with anyone. Just like watch the parade of humanity go by and, have an Aperol Spritz or something. But, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. You call it the parade of humanity. Love that. Beautiful. Robin, I'm going to say thank you for your time and sharing your story with us. And definitely going to put the details below. And to make sure that all your work and also within, that movement that you're creating, that's extended and be seen. So I'm going to shake your hands. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robin.
And enjoy this last day, Placemaking Week.
I will, yeah.
Ciao, guys.
Bye.